How's it going, guys? Back in the shop again. To be truthfully honest, this is like the second attempt of doing this. Ben's not in the garage right now. Um, so on the last video, we did a big unboxing of parts and kind of came up with a game plan. Game plan didn't work out at all. We got the front brakes put on the car and found out that we had the wrong axles for the rear of the car. Uh, so just to kind of touch on that, the car is using SN95 brakes all the way around with the exception of the hydraulic handbrake, which uses 4 Taurus calipers. There's a big old backstory with that, is what it is. But we have the front one's on. They're not hooked up right now. We have new hoses here for that to get that all finalized, but that's on, just about ready to go. And we're getting pretty close to being able to start bleeding the brakes on this thing and getting the hydraulic handbrake mounted, getting the lines all situated for that. I have a hardline kit for the main brakes, so your pedal, the 4-wheel disc, for the rear diff, because rear diff currently doesn't have any hard lines. But you'll remember in the unboxing video, the Hydro has the Super Trick flexible lines, so that'll be super easy to run. And I'll show you what we got going on with the axle situation and why we weren't able to get the rear brakes mounted. For starters, we got the dual caliper bracket on to the diff housing. So this right here is your factory backing plate. Put that on the ground. So these bolt holes would be what mount it to your diff. This would be where your factory SN95 brake caliper would mount. So these bolt holes are the same here and here. So that allows us to run 2 sets of calipers, one for your main brakes, one for your hydro. The issue that we ran into is, if you know your rear ends and stuff like that, with the axle shaft installed in the differential, the flange for the rotor was too far outboard by, I think it was roughly like 3/4 of an inch. So there was actually a gap between the caliper and the mounting surface here. I'll show you that on the other side. All right, so I've got a caliper situated on this other side with just some bolts holding the caliper in place. Caliper is roughly centered on the rotor where it is. Axle shaft is all the way situated in the diff with force on the C-clip. So axle's in where its driving position would essentially be. And as you can see, there's a big gap between caliper to the mounting flange. And there's no way to make up that difference in a safe manner. So we found out the hard way that certain axles and differential housings don't actually match up, despite what a lot of online forums may or may not say. I was under the impression that the SN95 rear diff, which apparently is supposed to be the same from 94 to 04, would be the same. Well, that's not the case. The rear diff I currently have is 94 to 96 SN95. These axles are from a 7.5 inch rear diff from an 02 or 03 Mustang New Edge body style. And as it turns out, axles are too long for the housing, despite the fact that They do fit in the housing. They ride on the wheel bearing, the axle seal, everything as they normally should. But in this case, they're too far outboard for the brakes to bolt up. And for another demonstration purpose, we have 3 different sets of axles now to show you. Okay.
Walk by dump truck.
Walked in the shot.
Hello.
So we got 3 different axles here. Factory axle from the car when it was still a 4-bolt, new edge axle, and the proper SN95 axle. As you can clearly see, 4-lug to the 5-lug, substantial difference. It doesn't probably transfer over very well on camera, but the proper SN95 axle to the new edge axle, there isn't a whole hell of a lot of difference, but there is just enough. So back of the flange to the end of the axle on this 4-bolt is about like 28 3/4. I've already measured these ones, so I know what this is. The new edge, we've got 30 1/4. And the proper SN95 axle, we've got about 29 3/8 or something like that. It's not much. It's less than an inch, but that difference right there is make or break with the rear disc brakes fitting on this car. So, expensive lesson to learn. Not horribly expensive. These new edge axles I bought off of a guy. It was a wrecked diff anyways. The plug weld in the axle tube broke and the axle twisted. Just the housing. So axles were still usable, but unfortunately they're too long for what we're doing. So had to buy these new SN95 axles. I think they're Richmond Excel axles, sorry. Yeah, $200 on Rock Auto. We're just gonna get the O-ring transferred over for the C-clip, get these axles stabbed in, and we'll go from there. So we already did get this filmed too. We did a bit of a time lapse and explanation on this. It would have been in a video already, but to be very honest, I had already tried and filmed the whole rear brakes not fitting and axles not fitting thing. I was a bit of a hot mess that day and wasn't happy with it, so here we are redoing all of that. But the new Performance World oil pan is on. I'll try and figure out how to get the time lapse stitched so that it'll be like things never happened and you wouldn't know it except I explained it to you already.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't.
Alright, we got the oil pan off, windage tray, pickup, gasket, all that stuff. This thing looks actually really good inside for the mileage that it had and being in a pickup truck. Just your little bit of carboning, but there's no sludge. There was no grossness in the pickup tube, the filter, the residual oil that's in the pan itself. Like it's not bad. It's a lot better than what I would expect from a junkyard engine. So
Are we gonna check the bearings?
no. No, we're not checking bearings. We are 100% doing this part of it anyways on the low. This will be looks good. There's no real play in anything. Timing chain actually still looks good. We're not gonna bother opening it up. This season it's gonna stay bone stock as is. We'll worry about bearings and all that stuff next winter when it gets a refresh, and
No, we won't.
yeah, it'll get a Chachi hot boy cam and all that jazz. But for now, we're gonna keep plugging away and go from there.
Our first time, our first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall. I'm falling fast, sitting here praying.
Alright, so we're just getting some things test fit here. This is the F-body windage tray that the Performance World oil pan recommends for doing this swap.
Where'd you take that? Where's that?
I got it here. The pickup tube is from the Performance World kit. One of the things that they note in the installation instructions is that there needs to be a relief cut here for the pickup tube to get fully seated, and then we need to do a little bit of notching here to allow this bracket to also get fully seated, and that'll be that. After that, it'll be just a matter of tightening the baffle in the oil pan, making sure everything clears, slap a gasket on it, torque everything down, and we should be getting a step closer to getting ready to test fit this engine. Alright, got the oil pan mounted. We forgot to set the time lapse again. We ran into a couple issues as per the norm. Didn't get any pictures of it to even clip into the video, but windage tray has been modified to fit the pickup tube. We had to modify the pickup tube as well. We ran into some clearancing issues. The factory bends that hold the pickup tube right around this area, they jut down to the windage tray studs. One of the issues was it was not enough angle, so it was too tall, or I guess too low, however you want to go about it, and it was bottoming out in the pan. So we had to bend those brackets a little bit, as well as massage the actual pickup tube itself, as it was running into clearancing issues along the sides of the flange for the oil pan to the block. That's all been sorted, everything's torqued, ready to go. So I think the plan is now-ish, I think we're gonna try and get the engine and transmission mocked into the car so that we can see where we're at with clearances and what's gonna fit, what's not gonna fit, and then we'll finish up all the brakes and stuff. So we're just getting things buttoned up on the car. We ran into issues with the engine over yonder. We discovered that we don't have the motor mounts to make things work. So we finished up brakes and putting wheels on the car, and the steering's all hooked up. And we found out that we have a lack of clearance on the front fender to the wheels. So much like our heroes, Finnegan and Freiberger, we're just going to make a flange and Zeus it back together. Maybe. Also, like Finnegan and Freiberger, we may or may not have got out of hand. We are now not making a flange and Zeusing it back together. Not sorry. Alright, so I think this is about where we're going to end the video. Goal was to try and get the engine and trans slapped in the car, but due to motor mount issues, that's not happening. We did some clearancing on the front fenders because we had some clearancing issues due to the angle kit and the wheelbase getting shoved forward because of the angle kit and all that jazz. Brakes are basically done on the car, short of actually plumbing the lines. So this will be foot pedal brakes. This will be the hydro. So SN95 caliper, Ford Taurus caliper with an SN95 brake caliper bracket. It's all confusing stuff, but everything is on. We have the lines here to get plumbed in. That'll be another day's battle, but for now we're making progress. It's not, large jumps or anything, but we'll take it for what it's worth. Biggest setback was just motor mounts. We bought the subframe for the car like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Put it in 3 months ago, and the engine's been sitting in the shop for a month and a half, or year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
I just happened to notice there was a slight bamboozle in what looks to be the LS style motor mounts from the truck, which apparently this kit uses real LS. It requires the LS1 Camaro or Firebird style, so
Yeah, it's the little things that we end up missing. It comes with building cars. We made the assumption that we bought a QA1 subframe with LS mount brackets, and we just assumed LS is LS, whoop-de-doo, no big deal. Totally didn't account for the fact that truck motor mounts are not the same as a car motor mounts, and who really uses the truck motor mounts when putting a truck engine in a car. It was a bad assumption. We made that assumption.
and
So
the parts store in the city doesn't have them.
Yeah.
So we have to order them now.
Yeah, it's too old of a car. Parts stores don't carry stuff like that much anymore. It is what it is. The joys of building cars. But
Overnight parts from America.
yeah, the finest Taiwanese parts. But that's where we're at. Good progress again today. Every little bit of progress equals up to the bigger picture. So
You got the C-clips and everything in? We just gotta
Yep.
put the cover back on?
yeah, axles are back in. Rear brakes are ready to go. Like I said, short of getting the hard lines mounted, getting the handbrake mounted, run the flexible lines. We gotta wait till we have the engine and trans in for that though, so that we are not gonna have any interference with the handbrake and the shifter location.
Kind of want seats mounted too, so whenever
Yeah.
we get the seats, because it's different for Alex because of his legs, so we need to make sure everything is perfect. He's got seats, we just need to go get them. They're 2 hours south?
Yeah.
Kind of a pain, but
Yeah, we're robbing the seats out of my old street and strip truck because
budget race car.
budget race car for one. Two, I really enjoy the seats. They're Jazz plastic race bucket with padded covers, and just the positioning of the seat in terms of how you sit in the bucket is really nice. It's comfortable for me and allows me to run the pedals with my prosthetics with very little assistance.
Something that people don't really realize, because I always forget it, is with his prosthetics, it's not as simple as just sitting in a seat. He needs to be able to push himself back into the seat and hold himself there.
Yeah.
So everything needs to be built around making sure he can drive it, because otherwise there's no point in doing any of it. And I would rather have the seats and the steering wheel and everything where he needs it, and then worry about shifters and e-brake handles, because otherwise we're probably going to do it twice like everything else. And I don't know, I mean, everything else on this car, we might as well just call this thing repeat, because we've had to do everything 12 times. But
It is what it is. The little things with positioning is the biggest battle when building a car as an amputee is, seat position, okay, but guys that have full mobility in their legs, they can work around the pedals and stuff like that better than I can. So it's as tedious as it is, sometimes it's the little details that we do need to focus on.
And in
But-
case you're watching, whoever called us out and dared us, we are going to drill a leg.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I don't know when. Probably when the drill press isn't sitting on the floor. But we are drilling a leg because you dared us to.
Yeah, we got called out on one of our shorts. Someone dared me to, well, somebody asked us to test drill bits on prosthetics because we tested a scribe and his automatic center punch.
And I do have really junky step bits that we need to basically remedy if they suck or not. They don't work very good on my M12 Milwaukee, but they work awesome in the drill press. I will hog that thing out to 1 inch. I do not care. It's not mine.
We're gonna try it. We'll see what happens. But with that, we're gonna end the video there. More updates to come, you guys. See ya.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.